Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on the show, and I'm here to talk about the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series Championship at Phoenix Raceway. And the 2023 NASCAR season it's officially over, for at least for a few months. NASCAR's done. It's probably my last NASCAR video, probably for a little bit, unless there's like big dropping news or whatever. But yeah, Ryan Blaney is a Cup champion, man. Well, I pretty much already said it. Ryan Blaney won the championship. Back-to-back years, Team Penske wins the championship. Well deserved, I think, for Blaney. I know a lot of people say, well, it's undeserved. He was the best driver, really, over the last 6 weeks. He had some really consistent finishes in the playoffs. One when it mattered at Martinsville to get in the championship 4. Had a really fast car. Was probably the best out of the championship 4. Had probably the best car. Really the most speed. His car handled really well. And he kind of started in a similar situation like he did at Martinsville. He started mid-pack. Slowly worked his way up in the first stage to 10th. The pit crew tried to sell Blaney. He had a few bad pit stops in this race. But a lot of good racing. I thought there was some pretty good racing as well. This wasn't just like, oh, it was 1, 2, 3, 4 with the championship 4 with Byron, Bale, Larson, Blaney. It wasn't like that. There was actually a bunch of different comers and goers. You had Chastain led about half the race. Byron was up front for the first about 79, 80 laps. Then Harvick took the lead. Buescher was up there. Chastain, Truex. You had the Champ 4, obviously. You had a bunch of different comers and goers throughout the whole field. So I felt this was actually a really competitive race for it being the Champ 4. And I thought it would just be like the Championship 4 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. But it actually ultimately turned out to be a pretty solid race. Probably the best Phoenix race of the Gen 7, in my opinion. This championship race was much better than last year. I'd probably give it like a 6, 7 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty solid race. Definitely way better than last year's championship race. Because you actually, the non-playoff guys that weren't in the championship were actually being competitive. And racing the championship guys pretty tough. You know, Ross Chastain racing Blaney pretty tough. So, it was good to see him actually competitive. But ultimately, Ford ended up sweeping the weekend with the championships from Ben Rhodes to Cole Custer to Ryan Blaney. So, Ford swept the championship weekend. I thought it was a very solid race. I don't know what else you'd want from it, because I thought there was a lot of passing throughout the field. A very competitive race compared to what I thought it would be. And the rest of the field actually raced the top 4 drivers. Easily the best Phoenix racing with this next-gen car. So I thought it was a pretty solid race. I'm not going to say it was great, but it was pretty solid. But there's one thing I didn't like, is I wish they'd extend the distance for this race, because I think 312 miles for a championship race is really not enough, to be honest. I mean, they should at least extend it a little bit, maybe to 450, I don't know, maybe 400 laps, possibly. But overall, I thought it was a pretty solid race. It wasn't like great, but it was a solid race, because I thought it would be really boring and it wouldn't be competitive outside the championship 4, but it was really, really competitive. But Ryan Blaney deserves the championship 100%. I mean, I get he only had 6 top 5s this year, but he stepped up when it mattered in the playoffs. Really stepped up when it mattered. So, but Ross Chastain ended up winning the race. Yeah, he had a really fast car. I mean, there's really nothing much else to really say about it, because I don't think anybody really cared about it besides, well, Ross Chastain and his team. But post-race inspection was complete, and it's official that Ryan Blaney's the champion. So he deserves it. So there's not really much more to say about Ryan Blaney. Basically, he deserves the championship. So I thought he had the fastest car. I don't think Larson had as strong of a car. He was just able to get out front because, you know, because of the pit stops. Blaney come out, last of the ones that were on track in the Champ 4. He was able to pass Byron, pass Larson, and was able to stay in second and win the title. Pit Crew even tried to sail him a few times, but he still drove back past him. So, back-to-back for Penske and a weekend sweep for Ford. I never thought he would be a champion. But I'm glad. I never thought he'd be a Cup champion this early, but I don't know if I can say this early because he's been in the Cup Series for a while. But I never thought he'd be a Cup champion because it seemed every time something would go wrong for Blaney. And I was just waiting for something to happen. But it ended up staying green the final 20 laps or so. After Kyle Busch spun around. So, Blaney definitely deserves it. He's come a long way. The season's over. Another thing, Kevin Harvick. His last race extended his streak of 20 straight top 10s at Phoenix Raceway. He ran second early on for the first about 79, 80 laps until he was able to finally pass Byron. He ultimately ended up fading, but he still stayed in the top 10 pretty much the whole race, so it's glad to see Kevin Harvick competitive in his final NASCAR Cup Series race and at Phoenix Raceway, which was his best track throughout his career. It's going to be weird not seeing Kevin Harvick in the 4 car next year. It's definitely going to be weird not seeing him in that car next year, but just have to just see how he does in the booth and enjoy his next adventure in the booth for Fox Sports next year. So whenever Champ 4, how competitive it was, stuff like that. So yeah. So the championship results ended up being Blaney winning, Larson was second, Byron was third, and Bell obviously last with the brake rotor exploding. I never mentioned that. But yeah, his brake rotor exploded and pretty much took him out of contention. Which I don't know if he would have had anything for Blaney anyways. I don't think any of the other 3 had anything for Blaney. Once he passed Larson there with 20 to go after Larson got ahead of him because of the pit stops. And Larson got ahead of him because the pit stops. Shit, Christ, can't talk. Once Blaney got around him, there was really Larson couldn't fight back. He kind of struggled the whole weekend. Like, his car wasn't really as fast as I expected. Byron led about the first 80 laps, and once he got back in dirty air, his car wasn't as good. And Bale had a pretty solid car. It's just the brake rotor exploded. We never got to see how good he could have, made his car if they could have made any changes. Yes, the end of the NASCAR season. I'll give this race a 6 out of 10. I thought it was a solid race. So until next map, peace.